Happy Halloween month, everybody, and Tony here with my tribute to A Mystery to Me from Power Rangers Zeo, which aired on Fox Kids on November 14, 1996. This was directed by Robert Radler and written by Jackie Marchand. I know that A Mystery to Me from Power Rangers Zeo is not technically a Halloween episode. However, if you count all the main characters from Tommy to Kat, to the supporting characters like Bulk and Skull and Lieutenant Stone partaking in a whodunit party or a whodunit role play, then I would easily count this as a sort of Halloween episode. After all, the setting of this particular Halloween episode, or pseudo-Halloween episode as I'd like to call it, is in a haunted mansion. So A Mystery to Me does count as a Halloween episode that actually out-Halloweened the previous Halloween episode. It came from Angel Grove, and I'll tell you why much later in this video. But here's a reason why this episode is very much wonderful in my eyes. It is a huge homage to a lot of the works written by Agatha Christie and Hergé. Well, most notably Agatha Christie, considering that she wrote a lot of great whodunit stories and mystery stories. And you can definitely tell by watching this episode that there are some tropes that you might be familiar with in terms of reading a lot of these whodunit novels or watched any of the whodunit shows or radio plays. This episode does start with something coming out of a thriller or horror novel with eyes peering through a painting, and an axe almost falling on Bulk and Skull, who are respectively dressed as a chef, quite reminiscent of Chef Louis from Disney's Little Mermaid, and in Skull's case, a limousine chauffeur. With that thriller moment out of the way, we get to see the rest of the cast dressed in various costumes. We have Tommy, who is dressed to be a sort of Western hero akin to Lucky Luke and Jonah Hex. Rocky, who is dressed up to be, most specifically, Claude Fitzwilliam from Ponty Tyler's 1960 novel, A Garden of Cucumbers, or the film Fitzwilliam starring Dick Van Dyke, but also generally various butlers from Agatha Christie's novels. Adam being dressed as a sort of combination of Alan Quatermain from H. Rider Haggard's King Solomon's Mines and Sanger Rainsford from The Most Dangerous Game. Jason being dressed as Sam Spade from Dashiell Hammett's The Maltese Falcon. Tanya being dressed akin to Bianca Castafiore from Hergé's Tintin series, in which Tanya doesn't really dress in Bianca Castafiore's signature colors of red or fuchsia or scarlet or even purple, let alone colors that usually heighten Bianca Castafiore's very pompous yet femininely grandiose features, as opposed to Tanya, who chiefly wears a yellow boa, as well as an ensemble that combines a bit of black and, of course, her signature color. And Kat, being the most committed to the whodunit scenario, being dressed akin to Miss Jane Marple by Agatha Christie, combined with Clarissa Dalloway from Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway, with a hint of Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote. Therefore, Kat, and by that extent, Catherine Sutherland, would definitely make Agatha Christie smile from heaven just by seeing her dressed up so well, almost akin to Miss Jane Marple, and even act like the titular heroine, Miss Marple, when trying to solve the mystery. If a casting agent hired Catherine Sutherland to play in a modern adaptation of Miss Marple, I would definitely see her booking that role, because here, as Kat, as akin to Miss Marple, she's able to compose herself with elegance, poise, and a whole lot of class. After all, Kat is the Pink Ranger with a whole lot of class radiating about her, and she just shows it, especially when she gets onto investigating. And we even have the honor of the host of this whodunit party, Lieutenant Stone, being dressed as a detective and initially acting like a cross between Inspector Clouseau from the Pink Panther and Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot. So there's a whole lot of references to chiefly Agatha Christie, as well as a lot of mystery novels and mystery shows, let alone mystery films, most notably The Maltese Falcon in Jason's case. Therefore, it's pretty much a huge love letter to a lot of mystery fans. And what was quite funny about Lieutenant Stone trying to talk like Hercule Poirot or Inspector Clouseau was that he was trying to put on a French accent, but his wards didn't really understand him, so he ends up reverting back to his American accent before he ends up disappearing, and even before stating who the culprit in the envelope is. So it's up to the participants to find out who the culprit is. Adam is the first one to try to investigate. And he also commits to his persona akin to Alan Quatermain and Sanger Rainsford by almost talking in a British accent. However, while this mystery play is brewing, there is something afoot, let alone something that doesn't seem right, as Prince Gasket and Archerina are planning to abduct Kat in order for Archerina to not only do battle with her, but also to one-up her as who is the superior female warrior. Their plan involves abducting the main rangers except Kat by leading them to a dark room, and just like something out of Stephen King or The Poltergeist, there is a glowing door that first leads Adam into it, but then he finds himself in a dungeon. I also enjoy Tanya embodying that diva-like personality in this particular whodunit scenario because it also accentuates Tanya's ability as a performing artist, more specifically a singer. Although, unlike Bianca Castafiore, who is an opera singer, Tanya's style leads into the more R&B and pop route, although in Another Song and Dance, she also can hit a few operatic notes so exceedingly well. But I'll gladly talk about that other episode much later in November. So Tanya also decides to investigate where Adam is because he hasn't come back. She too is drawn by that glowing light in the dark hall. And just like Adam, she ends up locked up too. Up next is Tommy, who also decides that he should also check where Lieutenant Stone could be. He even has a little bit of a Western hero moment with him trying to command his horse, although he's pretending to sort of command his horse, with Jason using a Brooklyn accent to bring out his inner Sam Spade, which I thought this cute little moment was hilarious. But just like Adam and Tanya, he too is led into that glowing light and is also trapped. Kat continues to investigate and suspects that Jason as Sam Spade could be up to this whole conspiracy to make Detective Stone disappear, just because they're playing detectives from two completely different literary sources. Until she turns her attention to Bulk and Skull, but even they try to retort by saying that she might have something to do with it, with Kat retorting by stating that super sleuths like her could not have been the primary suspect. And just like that, there is also an organ that's playing. And that's also something I've admired about this episode, the use of an organ to heighten the overall thrills and chills one would receive in this episode. And even Archerina gets a go at scaring the rest of the guests by emitting an offstage ghostly noise just to scare the rest of the guests. It also shows me how self-aware this particular whodunit party really is in terms of using that organ for dramatic effect and for a thriller-y effect. And the reactions of the Rangers and even Bulk and Skull say a lot of just how self-aware these particular moments are, as well as how much fun I had as a viewer just looking at their reactions. But Tommy, Adam, and Tanya are not alone, as Rocky ends up being locked in the dungeon too. And he even tells him right up front that he did not end up doing the crime, because usually the butler in a lot of mystery novels, old-fashioned mystery novels, or old-fashioned mystery radio plays, would be the usual target because there is a motive. Whereas with Rocky, he's just totally annoyed with playing as the butler, thus also confirming Tanya's suspicions to be absolutely false. This also motivates Jason to try to search for Tommy, Rocky, Adam, and Tanya, as he also sees that glowing light. Fortunately for him, and probably unfortunately for the rest of this particular episode, because of what's going to happen later, Bulk and Skull make him dodge a bullet and end up going to the other hall, where there's still a good number of guests mingling, and even Bulk and Skull have a little comic moment together, with Bulk suggesting that he and Skull play a little card game where he has to deal, and Skull has to end up picking up all the cards. Kat, being the only one left in the main hall, suspects that something is fishy, because technically the mystery should be over, right? Wrong, because Archerina intercepts and exposits to her that she has kept Tommy, Rocky, Adam, and Tanya locked in a dungeon for ransom, and if she wants her friends back, she has to fight her. And this is a scene I definitely liked, and it also shows that Kat is no coward at all. She is not threatened by Archerina's threats and bullying just because she is her rival. She accepts her challenge. Even Alpha 5 and Zordon notice that something is afoot with why Tommy, Rocky, Adam, and Tanya can't pick up their communicators, but Kat ends up doing so. She also notifies them that there is something fishy going on, because this might be a part of Prince Gasket's and Archerina's machinations. So Kat morphs up, suits up, and does battle against Archerina in the Forest of Light. And this fight scene between Kat and Archerina is full of tension and full of thrills, to the point where I was at the edge of my seat. Yes, Archerina did thrash Kat multiple times in this particular moment. However, it just shows me right there that Kat was not willing to give up. So you'd think that Tommy, Rocky, Adam, and Tanya would reunite with Kat, right? Wrong, because Archerina ends up double-crossing her, and with the help of Prince Gasket, they end up summoning their newest monster, the Nuclear Fire, who also does his job in attacking Kat, and nearly tearing her to shreds. Alpha 5 even sees that Kat is being trashed so badly, to the point where Zordon recommends to Alpha that Auric the Conqueror should be able to help her out. And I do enjoy Auric the Conqueror's presence. He is definitely a reliable ranger ally, and Kim Strauss's amazing delivery makes him absolutely brilliant as this ranger ally. And I enjoy how extremely well Auric the Conqueror manages to hold his own against Nuclear Fire, even if he ends up being thrashed, but he assures Kat that he is always there to protect her and also shield her from whatever blows Nuclear Fire, Prince Gasket, and Archerina had to offer. But he ends up being down for the count once again, until Alpha 5 manages to relocate Tommy, Rocky, Adam, and Tanya. The 4 imprisoned Rangers end up hearing a beep in their communicators, and this means that they can end up teleporting to the command center under the command of Zordon's voice and do what they must do right now. Morph up, suit up, and help out both Kat and Auric the Conqueror in battle. And the first part of this final fight scene is absolutely amazing. You have not only the main 5 Rangers ensuring that Auric is safe and sound, but also gathering together to form their Zeo spinning punch against Nuclear Fire. But just as he's almost to be down for the count, Clank brings out the old ball and chain to make Nuclear Fire grow. And you all know what that means. The main 5 Rangers call upon their Zeo Megazord, everybody's on board, and they begin to battle to the near death. And I do agree with Kat when Nuclear Fire ends up trashing the Zeo Megazord that they're pretty much helpless without Pyramidas. And this would have been a golden opportunity for Jason to have come to the rescue and even join forces with Auric the Conqueror as the Gold Ranger with the help of Pyramidas. That would have made for a more epic battle and would have made Jason a lot more contributory to the battle at hand. But at least there are some consolation prizes in which the Zeo Megazord ends up unleashing the warrior wheel to fight against nuclear fire. But when that doesn't work, Orc the Conqueror does what he can to also help out his comrades by also growing to the size of the Zeo Megazord and the more enlarged nuclear fire, and helping the Zeo Rangers finish the job by slicing and dicing nuclear fire and standing triumphant. Sure, Prince Gasket and Archerina express their sentiments of feeling defeated, but they don't do so in a temper tantrum-y way. They instead keep up with their composure and swear that they'll do better next time. They'll just have to ensure that they're more prepared and that Cat will end up being in the clutches of Archerina. Now with the day saved for now and everybody back in the main hall, it is time to reveal who the culprit is once Cat finds an envelope. And just like what happened earlier, the lights end up being dimmed abruptly before turning back on to reveal that it was Detective Stone. Cat even confirms this when she opens up the letter and reveals that yes, Detective Stone was the culprit. And there's also a funny moment in which Bulk, Skull, and Lieutenant Stone have a bit of a banter of who did it. And Bulk ends up stating that Detective Stone did it, with Skull a little bit befuddled about what's going on. But at least Lieutenant Stone gives Bulk and Skull and the Rangers a firm lesson on using your intuition and deep critical thinking skills to find out who the culprit really is, because they may not be who you think they are. And the episode ends with a lot of good graces and laughs now that this whodunit mystery party was quite the success. The world literature fan in me has also screamed so loudly with joy in terms of how wonderfully A Mystery to Me managed to incorporate thrills, mystery, as well as a lot of literary elements into this particular episode. Yes, as I stated before, it's not a Halloween episode. It may not be a standard Halloween episode, but the foreboding nature of A Mystery to Me, especially since that it's set in a haunted house for the most part, and a lot of the tension, thrills, action, and a whole lot of fight choreography being used for both the Ranger fights as well as the Megazord fights were absolutely brilliant all throughout. I could definitely recommend A Mystery to Me, especially to those of you who are fans of Agatha Christie's novels, or even fans of Hercule Poirot, or Miss Marple, or even Tintin by Hergé, and many of the other classic literary works that involve mystery, suspense, thriller, and a whole lot of kick-butt action, and even some horror elements to be found here and there. You will definitely have a ball with A Mystery to Me. Sure, Jason could have contributed a lot more as the Gold Ranger. Sure, he could have and should have joined his friends in fighting against nuclear fire, and especially helping out Orc the Conqueror defeat that particular monster of the week. But even with that little nitpick, I still have to commend A Mystery to Me for being such a superb episode. They may not explicitly be a Halloween episode, but if you're hankering for mystery and if you're hankering for good whodunit episodes, and especially episodes that pay homages to Agatha Christie or Hergé, or even a lot of the classic English and American literary figures who are important to the world of mystery novels or mystery plays, then you'll definitely never go wrong with this particular episode, especially for any one of you who are fans of Agatha Christie or Hergé or even Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. You'll definitely have a ball, especially once you recognize the references. And let's also not forget about Catherine Sutherland's portrayal of Cat, especially when she is able to channel her inner Jessica Fletcher or Miss Marple, and even to some extent Clarissa Dalloway, to make her role as the super sleuth work. Highly recommended viewing, especially if you are fans of mystery genre novels or even mystery plays. And for those of you who caught A Mystery to Me from Power Rangers Zeo, what'd you think of it? Would you even count this as a Halloween episode? Would you even enjoy it watching during the Halloween season? Did you also think that Kat inhabited her super sleuth well, almost akin to Miss Marple, with a touch of Clarissa Dalloway from Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway, and even to some extent Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote? Did you also feel that this episode was so full of tension, excitement, and thrills, and a whole lot of brilliant moments to be found here and there? Or did you not care for this particular episode? Please let me know in the comments below. Well, that's it for my tribute to A Mystery to Me from Power Rangers Zeo. Tune in tomorrow for my tribute to Carlos and the Count from Power Rangers Turbo, which will be my final video released during this year's Halloween season. So until then, have a great day, everybody. Have an equally wonderful Halloween season, and may the power protect you all.